We begin at London's Stansted Airport, where the world leg of the FIFA World Cup Trophy Tour by Coca-Cola got underway. To date, the trophy has visited 16 cities in Russia and has been seen by over 220,000 people. Over the next few months, the tour will visit 6 continents, including a number of countries for the first time, allowing fans the opportunity to see the iconic trophy up close.
Now that we are helping fans in these 51 countries, total 91 cities to get ready for the FIFA World Cup, the experience with the trophy is very important. It's when people start realizing the FIFA World Cup is coming and they realize they got to get ready for it.
This year's tour is the 4th edition. Since its inception ahead of the 2006 FIFA World Cup in Germany, the Trophy Tour has travelled to over 150 countries and become an integral part of the tournament's build-up.
Over the last 3 editions of the FIFA World Cup Trophy Tour, we learned from an operational standpoint to make it better, to be able to take the trophy to more places, to be able to execute the events better, and allowing more people to see the FIFA World Cup trophy.
People can't wait to see, or perhaps pose, with the World Cup. For every fan worldwide, the most important thing is watching the World Cup. Therefore, to be able to see the trophy up close is a very beautiful thing.
Following the world leg, the Trophy Tour will return to Russia in May before arriving in Moscow for the start of the tournament on the 14th of June. The 2018 tournament will mark the 21st edition of the FIFA World Cup. Here to share his memories of the finals and the USSR's biggest ever victory is a former Soviet forward.
The first World Cup I was aware of when I was younger was the 1974 edition. But the one I remember vividly was the 1978 tournament in Argentina. I was captivated watching the Argentinian national team becoming world champions for the first time.
For 10 years, Sergei Rodionov was an established member of the Soviet national team. From his debut in 1980 to his international retirement in 1990, he made 37 appearances for the USSR and was part of 2 World Cup squads.
To play at the finals is a great achievement for any player. During Soviet times, this was especially true, because to be selected for the national team then was very different to today. Back then, there were many republics in the Soviet Union, not just Russia. There was a larger pool of players to choose from, so to be selected was considered a great honor. To put into words and describe what the 1986 World Cup was like, the atmosphere in the stadiums, how much of an event each match was, is very difficult. The atmosphere, it was like every resident of the country lived and breathed every step of the competition. From the moment we landed in Mexico, the supporters were there to greet us. It felt as if only the USSR team were being supported. I think at that point in time, the country came to a standstill and lived only for football. As with any tournament, your first game is very significant. Unfortunately, we had a decent start. We had prepared thoroughly for Hungary. We had studied them as a team, and our coaches did everything possible to set us up for victory. I think all this preparation and work beforehand was reflected in the final 6-0 scoreline. Sure, the result was a little bit surprising. The Hungarians were a strong team with a number of good, skillful players. No one expected us to achieve such a comprehensive victory. It's a match that lives long in my memory. I came on as a substitute during the game. What minute it was, I can't remember. But it was towards the end, when we were leading 5-0. And I scored the 6th goal. It wasn't a difficult goal. We were playing the ball from the back, and I was running in support of the attack. I was ready for any rebound off the goalkeeper or post, and that's what happened. My teammate shot, the keeper saved it, the ball came straight to me, and I was able to direct it into the empty net. To describe the feeling of scoring at the finals is difficult. For me, it was an unforgettable experience to play for the Soviet national team at a World Cup. And to leave a mark like that was truly an honor. For me, it doesn't matter what goal it was, the 6th goal or a spectacular one. It was a goal scored at the World Cup, and it will always be remembered. I don't recall many of the goals I scored during my career, but I do remember that one.
I'd say our football peak was around the beginning of the 2000s, but due to a number of factors, everything started to wind down. There were fewer and fewer teams playing. By summer 2014, there was no organized competitive football in the district.
Vasily Alipov has been involved in football all his life. He played as a child, but it wasn't until he decided to return to his hometown of Krasnobaki that it became a major calling. Located 140 kilometers north of Nizhny Novgorod, Krasnobaki has a population of 7,500, and Alipov's passion for the beautiful game has been key in reinvigorating the football scene here.
It became clear to me when I came back that if I wanted to play more competitive football, I would have to do something about it. We lacked any kind of tournament, so I decided to organize them myself. I arranged a number of friendlies, and I planned out future competitions. To begin with, there was the KFL, the Krasnobaki Football League. It was an adults-only league, and there were 7 teams. After that, I focused on kids' football, because it's important for the development of the game to engage with the younger generation. The children who come to play are looking for something to focus their energy on. They're like sponges, absorbing things around them, so it can be easy for them to get involved in the wrong things if they don't have an opportunity like this. Nowadays, there are 3 teams in a children's league, 4 in the school league for teenagers, and 7 in the Strela League. The Strela League is the newest. It means arrow, and it's my baby. I have a lot of hopes for the future of it, and the teams.
Along with his work within the football community in Krasnobaki, the 31-year-old works as a 2018 FIFA World Cup volunteer in Nizhny Novgorod.
The World Cup is a huge event for Nizhny Novgorod. Everything that is connected to football, any ideas or experience I can learn from or be involved in, I try and do. Maybe there is something I can implement that will help the development of football in my district. Any step, no matter how big or small, I try to action. Events like this in sport are infectious. You only have to see a goal or a beautiful piece of skill to engage in it. It can be the catalyst that sparks a young boy's interest in the game, even if they've never played before.
Thanks to the hard work and dedication of Vasily Alipov, football in Krasnobaki is thriving. And with the country set to host the FIFA World Cup later this year, he's optimistic for the game's future in his hometown.
It's true I'm involved in a lot of the football-related activities in our district. But I think that if for some reason I can't or won't be involved in football here, it won't disappear again. Football in our district has reached such a level now, both from an organisational and a playing perspective, that I think it will continue to develop and grow well into the future.
A short drive from Nizhny Novgorod lies Gorodets, a small town on the banks of the Volga River. An important historical trading post for merchants in handicrafts and wood carving, it's now a quiet, idyllic place. Enjoyed by tourists and locals alike, it's been dubbed the sweetest town in Russia.
There's a gingerbread, gingerbread with cinnamon and spices, gingerbread with nuts.
For other fillings, we use jam, dried apricots and raisins. We also make gingerbread with condensed milk and walnuts.
The history of gingerbread in Gorodets started in the second half of the 18th century. It's said that at that time, there were over 50 gingerbread bakeries in Gorodets. In those days, gingerbread was made by men. It was a family craft, and the recipes and secrets were passed on from generation to generation.
During summertime, when we have lots of tourists, we have so little time to make our product, we end up working double shifts to make sure there's enough. Every tourist who visits Gorodets has to leave with some of our gingerbread.
From czars to famous writers, the family's recipe and designs encapsulate the town's history. Producing over half a ton of gingerbread a day, the ingredients move from hand to hand along the production line, a method unchanged for over 300 years.
Our recipe consists of purely raw materials, no chemical additives. Basically, it's flour, syrup, sugar, baking powder and margarine. Firstly, we sift the flour, then we knead the dough. Once that's done, the girls chop it on the carved boards. Then it goes into the oven. Once it's baked, we start the process of glazing. Then, when the glaze has cooled down for 8 to 10 hours, you have your result, a beautiful, shiny gingerbread. The girls put their soul into the bread, and that's what gives it its special taste.
Continuing to thrive today, and with the town's tea houses allowing visitors to sample the many delicacies made here, the custodians of Gorodets gingerbread can be proud of their legacy as Russia gets set to host the 2018 FIFA World Cup.
I hope we'll develop a new line focused on sport that will create gingerbread shaped like footballs and other symbols, dedicated to the 2018 World Cup tournament.
We've already planned a special design. It will be something tasty and nicely decorated, something exciting for any tourist who visits us.
I started playing in the first grade. As I was the only one there with one arm, I was perceived as an ugly duckling. I begged my mother to tell them that I could play, because the coach didn't want to let me due to my arm. I told her if something happened to me on the pitch or during the training session, that nobody should be held responsible.
Research shows that amputees can often feel isolated and alone, lacking self-esteem and confidence. Igor Putikin was born with only one fully developed arm, but the 29-year-old has never let the disability stand in his way when it comes to the beautiful game.
Football is an important part of my life. It's my second home. I've had to go through a lot to play the game, and while there may have been moments where I had to stop, I've always come back to it. I can safely say that my teammates are like my second family.
The rules of amputee football are basically the same as the regular game, with just a few differences. Teams are made up of 7 players who play 2 25-minute halves.
The game is fairly simple. A goalkeeper can only have one arm and is not permitted to leave the area. Outfield players play on crutches and have to remove their prosthetic leg regardless of the size. They're not allowed to play the ball with the crutches.
A goalkeeper by position, Putikin plays for the local Nizhny Novgorod team. He's represented Russia at 3 Amputee World Cups, helping his country win the 2014 edition, where he was named the tournament's best keeper.
Personally, for me, to wear the shirt and represent the national team is everything. I think it's something anybody who plays football wants to do. To be able to wear your country's coat of arms and hear your national anthem played is something incredible. It's magical.
A happily married man with a young daughter, Putikin, like many of his peers, is eagerly anticipating the upcoming FIFA World Cup, the largest sporting event Russia has ever hosted. The hope is the tournament will benefit football at all levels and help change the perception of amputee players.
It's not even under discussion. Everyone is looking forward to it. The question, though, is whether we can harness the positive interest in football. It may sound banal, but hopefully it will open people's eyes and minds that anyone, including amputees, can play football.